This is George Gilbert from Wikibon. We're on the ground at Spark Summit 2015. We're with Justin Langseth, CEO and founder of Zoomdata. So tell us a little bit about where the inspiration for Zoomdata came from and its unique value add.
Yeah, the inspiration came from looking at this big wave of big data technology that was starting to evolve in Hadoop and NoSQL and all that on the back end. And I realized that for the first time in 40 years, like SQL database wasn't the obvious place to put your data anymore. And then on the front end, we saw Apple with the iPad and touch interfaces and realized that the desktop computer wasn't necessarily the kind of future interface for humans to interact with data. So we realized both the back end and front end of BI was being disrupted simultaneously, and it would be a great opportunity to get in with a fresh company and a blank sheet of paper architecturally and figure out what is the best way to actually build the way for humans to interact with all this big data.
Okay, so that's a great way of sort of telling us what the catalyst was. Now tell us a little bit more. You're appealing to the business user, maybe starting from the business analyst, going further out into the business community. But that data has to come from somewhere. So where are you getting it from, and who are those users collaborating with?
Yeah, I mean the data is in all kinds of places. Most enterprises have data in legacy databases, they have data in flat files, they have data in S3 or Amazon Cloud, they have data in Hadoop, they have data in MongoDB or all these NoSQL places, and then they have data in Salesforce.com or Google Analytics. Data is just spread all over the place right now, and traditionally you try to ETL that into a single data warehouse, but what people are realizing is that's becoming impossible, and we've built a technology based on Spark that can natively connect through to all those underlying repositories and then pull the data only as needed into Spark and try to push as much of the work to those underlying data stores as possible, and then use Spark as the layer that kind of smooths it all out so that it can be then joined or fused together to be presented to the end users.
So Spark in this particular case sounds like a high-performance execution engine. And in the case of Spark running in the cloud, let's say the Databricks cloud, there's some extra value add where with traditional business intelligence tools, there's a whole lot of work that goes in with other roles to make it easy and pretty. So how do you leverage this, Databricks cloud or other Spark clouds to do that?
So traditionally, the kind of BI, business intelligence world, would work with data modelers and then ETL people who would build these data models in ETL and then set up the BI tools. So there's a lot of steps and usually like a year at least of work before an end user could actually get a dashboard. So we're seeing that time scale obviously shrink really dramatically. And what's interesting with Databricks and the notebook support they have in Databricks Cloud is that machine data scientists or kind of more advanced code-savvy data analysts, they can use these notebooks to build up data pipelines to traditionally what you think of as data wrangling or ETL or machine learning or data enrichment or stats or all these kind of stuff. And they can kind of do that in the notebooks. And then we've integrated directly with Databricks Cloud so that Zoomdata spins up in a little Docker container within Databricks Cloud. And then we've hooked up the metadata so that anything that a user or a more advanced user has created in Databricks Cloud, a data set or advanced machine learning algorithm, that then is automatically pushed into the Zoomdata metadata. So the less technical, more businessy type people can just use Zoomdata, but they can get native pre-set up access to all those great artifacts and systems that the more advanced people have set up. And as long as the business users trust the person who set up that model, they don't necessarily have to understand how that model works. They can leverage it in their business analysis.
Okay, sounds clearly very powerful, but give us like a concrete example when you might be a retailer with the point of sale data, you might have your inventory data. What are when you talk about those artifacts and the metadata, what is it that gets passed from the notebook, who's the sort of more data science guy, or the data modeling guy, and how does that then populate and simplify the work of the Zoomdata user?
Yeah, it's a couple things. So it's the table definitions themselves, so the tables and fields, and that data may have come in to Spark or Databricks Cloud from any number of places and been wrangled or transformed in those notebooks. So the end results of that are clean, wrangled data that's in tables. So that metadata is pushed into Zoomdata, and then Zoomdata doesn't make a copy of the data, though. It reaches into Databricks Cloud to actually execute the queries on that. Then also like machine learning algorithms. So if I build a machine learning algorithm, maybe it's a fraud detection algorithm, and I build this algorithm, I test it as a data scientist, I can then deploy that through Zoomdata directly so that the less technical people don't necessarily understand how this fraud is actually being detected, they can still fraud score the transactions as they're either historically being looked at or even in real time through Spark streaming.
So in real time, would Spark streaming be feeding a Zoom Zoomdata dashboard?
Yeah, so Spark's Kafka or Spark Streaming or Kinesis, we support lots of different real-time stream engines. And either the Zoomdata can accept these streams directly and do continuous processing through Zoomdata, which is based on Spark Streaming, or you can stream the data directly into a fast data store like a memSQL or something that's really, really fast. And you can have Zoomdata just effectively tail that data store and simulate real-time visualization against data that's being loaded into something else without even passing through Zoomdata directly.
And so how has your uptake been now? You were featured at a Sparks meetup, which is quite high praise. What's the awareness and how are customers gravitating to you now?
Yeah, we're really seeing a lot of people being interested in Zoomdata, especially to embed it in other applications, because a lot of people are building data-driven applications or data-driven services, or they just have another application that needs reporting or dashboarding or charts or something in it, and they don't want to have to kind of use legacy 10 or 20-year-old technology if they're building a new system that's going to go last from 10 to 20 years from now. And so they really like the way we've architected the system, the way it's built on Spark, handles real-time, and on the front end, just how we've built a really rich JavaScript SDK that can embed our visuals into other modern JavaScript applications without iframes, without any Flash or any of this kind of old stuff. And so we're really getting a lot of uptake from these people who want to embed white label Zoomdata or embed it into other applications, but leverage this whole stack of stuff that's under the covers.
Okay. Justin Langseth, CEO and founder of Zoomdata. This is George Gilbert on the ground at Spark Summit 2015.